Hey there, and welcome to my 7th devlog video on creating an indie game. In the last video I went over some bug fixes and missing features for the trees which I've since added. In this video I'm going to introduce a universal player inventory that can be accessed by both the survivor and the sandbox player. Without explaining too much more, let's get into it. The first feature I felt I needed to add was the addition of picking up and dropping items. Now, when you go up to an item and press enter, an item now acts as though you are moving it. This mechanic uses the same logic as the tree planter in one of my previous videos. This mechanic essentially destroys the selected item and spawns a decoy of sorts that represents the item's shape. This decoy will flash green or red depending if there is anything in the way obstructing the player. Once placed, the item will spawn in the position and rotation of the decoy. I've also added a cancel system in place. When a player presses space, if they are holding an item, the decoy is destroyed and the item is recreated at its original location where it was selected. To help assist the player in working out what items can be selected, I've added some UI prompts next to the item info panel. These alert and warning icons are placeholders for now, but will represent key code icons to press and perform the correct action. Items like trees, which cannot be picked up, will not have these prompts appear. Throughout development of this project, I've been pretty heavily focused on the sandbox player. My friend Tom, who's been helping me out with the project recently, has also done some dev work, this time on the survival player. They can now too pick up and drop items like the sandbox player can, and there's also the handy feature of items when held, rendering over other objects that they would usually phase through, the example being this tree here. Moving on to the inventory system itself, I've added this inventory box which will add as an access point for the player inventory for both survivor and sandbox players. The survivor logic is not started yet. I've fleshed out the sandbox access logic pretty well though. The sandbox player can select the inventory box like any other item, but this time the player is dispossessed from the character and can now see the inventory screen. This box on the right will contain all inventory items that can be accessed by the player. For now though, it's empty as the player does not have any items in their inventory. Let's change this. I'll go out of this inventory and add some objects into the scene. If I press R while selecting an item, it will store the item in the player inventory. Going back into the player inventory then, you can now see an icon with a number 3 next to it. These are the 3 items I selected. 3 items are currently stacked onto one icon here. I've added some logic for the item stacking, but to explain this I need to go a little into how the inventory works. The inventory itself is a serialized object, basically a block of data that has predetermined fields such as the inventory name and a container for possible items. Each item in the container is also a serialized object, but I've encapsulated the item into a class so that the object amount and the stacking cap can be accessed for each. The stacking cap is what I check against each time the player adds an item. Since the stacking cap is 3 for the cheese wheel, next time I add one it will be assigned to a new slot. This will become handy later on when I introduce a cap to the player's inventory capacity for game balance. The player can also place these items from the inventory as well as store them there. Simply clicking the item I want in the inventory sends you to the placement mode. Again, you can return out of this by pressing spacebar, or you can place items with enter. In this situation though, you can place multiple items down at once if you need to. You can place as many items that are in the slot of the inventory. That's it for this video. In the next one I'll go through the item shops that I've been recently building. Until then, thanks for watching.